I love that.
Me too.
Our quest, spread love, explore God together. Hey, everybody. I'm Tony Gapastione, one of the co-pastors of the Quest. And we are live for our Up Close and Personal. This is our first one of the fall, and I am coming at you from Redwood City, California.
And I am Matt Nightingale, the other co-pastor of the Quest, and I'm coming to you from my home in Santa Rosa, California. And that bumper, we should say, that little stop motion animation bumper was created by Dara Hoffman, and we are so thankful. We love it.
And we are grateful that our first fall Up Close and Personal, we are going to welcome our guest live on YouTube and Facebook tonight, by the way. So
right.
Spread the word. Kathy Hart. Welcome, Kathy Hart, everybody.
Hello. Hey, everybody. How are you?
Hi, Kathy.
Here, guys. And I'm live from Nevada.
Yes.
And I'm really happy to be here.
Right on, Kathy. Kathy didn't realize that when she stopped by at our Quest meet like 2 weeks ago, that just days later we'd say, Kathy, we want you to be the next guest on Up Close and Personal. So let's launch us in, Kathy. Just talk about who you are, the Hart family, how you got connected to your faith, and what life is like for you in Nevada.
So, came to Nevada in 1998. I have met my husband at church at the Vineyard Christian Fellowship down in San Rafael. And we were married, really quick, like 6 months later. And came along my son, Brandon, who is now 19, and my daughter, who is 17, Elizabeth. And I also have Caitlin, my niece, who lives with us, our family. And she is turned 16 today. So sweet 16. Oh. Yeah. And
happy birthday, Caitlin.
What's that?
I said, happy birthday, Caitlin.
That's really cool. Yeah. Thank you, Caitlin, for loaning your mama to us on your birthday.
Yeah, her auntie, but close enough. So what brought me to the Quest was the children's program. I had two young people. I came here to the Quest in 2006, and there weren't any other little kids at the Vineyard where I was, and the Quest had this pretty good size children's program. So I had heard about it, and it was in my neighborhood, and said, all right, let's try this place, and got locked in pretty quick, pretty excited to be there with neighbors and tons of kids, and loved the music. Of course, it was probably the driving point. When I was at the Vineyard, I was on the worship team. I was actually on the worship team with Barry Hart, who was leading worship there and is now with us at the Quest. In fact, she helped me out with my audition in front of Patty and the other co-worship team leader. And then, 10 years later, she's ended up on the platform with me, and I'm with her, and we're all together, right? So anyway,
we're together as much as together can be.
As much as it can be. I know this is so weird. It's still, but we're going into how many months? I don't even know. I don't even know what day it is half the time.
I know.
And really miss the personal touch of people, right? I mean, we have our children, we have our families, but when we run into people like I did last Tuesday night, and all I wanted to do was just hug each one of you because I was so excited to see you. That was hard, but it was really good to see you. Yeah. Anyway,
love it.
I told you to keep me on topic, Tony.
We got you. I see Matt's got a question, but we've got Susie saying it's been great having you at the Quest for all these years.
Yay, it's been great being there, Susie. Love those.
So Kathy, I want to go back to the beginning of your faith journey. What was the first connection you had with Jesus, and what drew you to the Christian faith?
So I grew up in a Catholic family, in a Catholic church, and my mother took us to church every Sunday. There's 7 of us. I'm number 6 of 7, and always had a connection. I always knew that from from way back when, from early teens, I knew that I had a connection with God and with Jesus, and I knew that I was walking with Him. Not very well at times, but I knew that I had always had Him in my life, or her in my life, Jesus in my life, and kind of fell away from the Catholic Church only because, as a 20-something, I was usually working on Sunday morning for starters, but wanted a little bit more relationship, and started exploring different Christian churches down in Los Angeles area, and came across a church called Bethel Christian Fellowship, which again had amazing music, which I know that's why I was drawn there. Like a little fly to, or to the light, right there.
Yes. Music always draws you.
Yeah. So I've always known that I have protection, that I have a friend. I've gone through dark times in my life, not as dark as some people, but darker than other folks. All of our journeys are completely different, and I had some hard times, and I had some really glorious times, and regardless of hard times or great times, I was always in praise and worship and song and music, one way or the other. Quite early on, I had my older sister, Colleen. She was very, very faithful and amazing woman. And always, when I was a teenager, would say, "Well, Kathy, why don't you start singing for God, And I'm like, I want to make music. I want to make money in music. I want to be a rock and roll star. You guys, can you imagine that?
Yeah.
So this was a long, long time ago. And when I did finally, I did bands here and there and had a great time. But when I got on the worship team, it was something completely different. I think that my full-on connection is with music. That's where God speaks to me specifically. And so there you go.
Okay, so you've talked a little bit about Los Angeles. So I want to dive in, and I want to hear, what were you doing in Los Angeles, Kathy Hart? I know a little bit about your past. So tell us a little bit about the kind of LA entertainment, movie, TV kind of scene that you were.
I don't even think I know anything about this part of your story. So I'm ready. I'm taking notes.
So I started, when I graduated from high school, I went to American River College in Sacramento for about 2 years, and had to do a performing arts or liberal arts or whatever it was. I don't remember exactly what it was called, because again, it was a long time ago. So I wasn't able to get on into the jazz choir, and because I didn't have the music theory background that you need with jazz. So I did an acting drama workshop or class at that time, and said, "Wow, I love this. This is great. My peeps are here. I'm having a great time." So I auditioned for the American Conservatory Theater here in San Francisco. Spent some time there, and from there decided that stage was awesome, but I really wanted to do film and TV, and explore what was going on there, and auditioned to get into the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in Pasadena. So that brought me down to Los Angeles. Came back one summer. My best friend Leah decided that we needed to live down there permanently. So she drugged me back down there. Even I wasn't like I was giving up, but it's a hard world, trying to be an actor, and I lacked a little bit of confidence. So she drugged me back down there, and we got more involved, and we got agents, and we went on tons of auditions. And at one point they were paying me SAG rate for auditions, because I wasn't booking anything, but I was getting call back. And so the rules were they had to pay as well for the callbacks.
Wow.
After three callbacks.
Yeah, that's right. And if you stay longer than an hour on one audition, they have to pay you too,
Right.
every 15 minutes.
Right. So I didn't book much. I had an agent. I tried. As soon as, you guys are going to appreciate this, I think, as soon as I decided and I told my agent, I'm done. I want to, see what's going on behind the scenes. I want to get into the production part. Bam. I booked like 3 jobs in a row, 2 sitcoms, a nighttime prime time after prime time show. And then I was like, oh man, I'm back in again. I'm loving it. But maybe it had to do with the fact that it wasn't so I have to get every single audition or I have to prove something to somebody. I had more joy in it, I think. I also had more connections, so that probably had a great deal to do with it. So LA was fun. It was a great time. I lived in the San Fernando Valley. I had acting class in Burbank. And I worked at a restaurant, which most of us did. And that's where I met quite a few of my contacts. Was at a little restaurant called Le Cafe on Ventura Boulevard in Sherman Oaks. Yeah. So, yeah.
How fun. What a cool story. I had no idea. Tori said she loves you. You're a special lady, so talented and full of compassion. I always love when we do these because people lavish on the encouragement, which I think is always really cool.
Yeah.
So Kathy, as somebody who's in the entertainment industry and knows how much rejection and heartache comes from going after those dreams, how did you navigate through that? And how did you also connect your faith through all those times?
So, well, I hung in there for close to 20 years. I really did. And I don't regret any of it whatsoever. There was a lot of heartache. There was a lot of pain. But there was a lot of joy being with production crews. And you just felt like family when you got into a production, a specific production, and just kind of like somewhat like the Quest. The faith, I would say that I probably moved a little bit away from church, but again, the music was always there. So my faith was always there. And I'd always, just God help me get through this, a lot of prayer, a lot of hands and knees going, please help me get this job. I don't know. It was fun. It was fun. It was hard. Gosh, one time I went, my agent's like, what? They want to know what the frizzy hair is all about. So I went in with a new hairdo and they're like, you look nothing like your headshots. What's that frizzy hair? There was a lot of comical stuff going on,
That's the no-no. Look like your headshot actors. Look like. Andrew is asking, what was it that your kids said when you showed them your sci-fi movie clip?
I totally forgot about that, Andrew. But they couldn't believe it. They were like, that's not you, Mom. That is not you. I had to actually roll to the credits to let them see it was Katie Brett. And I wasn't telling a story that was actually, so they had to watch it over and over and over again.
What movie is this? Where are we going to find you?
What was that? How come I draw a blank on the name of it? Was was it Amazon Woman of Amazon? I forget it. I honestly, it'll come to me in a few minutes. I'm so sorry. I thought about it. I said I should probably remember that movie.
What did you say your name was? Kathy what?
Katie Brett.
Katie Brett. Katy Brett. B-R-E-T.
Katy B-R-E-T?
B-R-E-T.
Or T-T. Katie Brett.
Okay, Katie Brett was in, according to IMDb, was in Alienator.
That was it.
Yes. Alienator.
It was a long time ago, folks.
I love it.
That was your very first. You played. Looks like you played Techie number 1 or Tech number 1. In Alienator, you were on Empty Nest. You played Woman on Empty Nest.
I did.
You were Waitress, John Larroquette Show. You played the waitress, and you were Woman on Local Heroes. So
it's so awesome.
With the John Larroquette Show, I teased my other friends and actors that I was one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood because I had one line, one word, and it was yes.
Uh-huh.
In fact, I could embellish on it, and the director would say, just Katie, please stick to the line. I'm like, yes. I don't know why I can't just say yes. I have to talk here, but
So funny.
Line. Yes. So I made quite a bit of money on that Eriquette. Yes.
That's awesome, Kathy.
That was funny. I forgot about that one too. It was a long time ago. And then I did Fool for Love. I did some stage work down there.
Oh, wow. Fool for Love. That's the Sam Shepard play, right?
Yeah.
Amazing. And I love that you were at the American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco, ACT. That's incredible. I've seen some great shows there.
I was, before they moved into their space, and there was, went over there on Gary Street and took a look at the old space just to see if I could. I'm looking through the windows, peering in there, trying to remember what it was looking like.
Yeah.
But it was great. It was like Fame, you're running up and down the stairs, trying to get to your different class, and people are knocking you out of the way, trying to get to their classes. It was pretty cool. It was a great time, really great time.
That's awesome. Kathy, I want to hear one more fun story. You shared with me one time about a rap trio, I think, that you were a part of. So I think we need to hear this story too.
Oh, gosh. So we were called LLK. It was a very original name. Leah, Lori, and Kathy. LLK. And I was actually at one point called MC Lace.
Yes.
and it was pretty funny. But anyway, no, we recorded a rap song for Nancy Reagan. It was called the Nancy Reagan Rap, and it was all about the Just Say No campaign that she had going on. And so, you can really tell my age here.
All good.
But we had fun. We went to the Grammys. We were invited to go to the Grammys, sit in the audience, not on stage or anything. But it was the first year that they were featuring rap. So we went there with our producers, and it was, wow. It was pretty, again, a fun time. And I had a great time in Los Angeles. You know what? Anybody who, to me, if you have that dream, if it's in your heart, if it's in your soul, and you got to do it, just go for it. You don't fall flat on your face, and I certainly did. But I have amazing memories of the whole scene.
I love that. And you can never say what would have happened if I had tried, right?
Yep.
You have the satisfaction knowing that you actually went for it. And you had some experiences and some successes and some failures, and it helped shape who you are today, which I think is really cool.
Exactly.
Really cool.
I feel, too, there's so much hesitancy for people to go after these wild, outlandish, kind of risky, creative goals because of the fear of like, well, what if I don't make it? Or what if I fail? And we have just glamorized failure to like this position of idolatry in some way where we're so afraid of it. But like, let's embrace it. Like, why not? Like, let your kids fail. Let them go after some dreams. Like, how else are they going to build their character and have stories to tell? How amazing these stories are to tell. I love that. Because so at what point do you come back and pick things up and, find the next part of your story and figure out what God was, inviting you into next?
So one day, at some point, I decided, the restaurant that I worked at, I was actually a bartender, and I started feeling, around all these people, they were just, it was very much like Cheers. It really, really was. But in some ways, it was some sad Cheers. There was the sad person that would just sit at the bar and get totally wasted. And I just felt, I need to get out of this. I need to do something else. So I started working at a health club and kind of worked my way up there and became a manager at a health club in the San Fernando Valley as well. And moved myself away from the restaurant business, which kind of took me away from the entertainment business, which is kind of odd. Although I had lots of people at the club that I worked at in entertainment, but I just didn't have it in me anymore. So I was there for quite some time, and my whole family is Northern California. I was in a relationship down there that was just going nowhere. I'm now in my late 20s and thinking, this is going nowhere. I'm done with LA. I'm done with this person. I'm just going to pack up my car, my dog, and two of my girlfriends went with me, and we drove back up north, and I found a place to live in Marin County. I knew that I wasn't going to go back to Sacramento, but I wanted to start my life in Northern California, a different chapter. As I got up here, I dubbed myself as homeless in Tiburon because I stayed in a friend's pool house. And then, oh darn, I've been homeless in a pool house in Tiburon. It was pretty awesome. I got to run with the little Tiburon trail with my dog every day, and had a great, just an opportunity. She is a beautiful friend of mine. She gave me this opportunity to start my life over. I found a good job. I found a house and roommates, and just I found a church, which was incredibly important to me. That was the Vineyard. And just left LA behind. And I went back, I've only actually gone back a couple, 3 times to that area where I used to live. I go back and see my girlfriend Leah occasionally, but not enough. She lives at the beach. I don't know what to say. I think I was just done, you knew. No, it's done. If somebody came up and said, "Would you like to audition for this sitcom or this drama?" I'd probably say, "Yes, absolutely, I'm in." But I don't want to go to LA. But not,
Yeah.
So Kathy, it also sounds though it was a positive or optimistic viewpoint. Like you were kind of like, all right, I'm moving back up. I'm giving this up. And it did, I mean, from how you express it, it doesn't feel like it was like a letdown in a way that like drug you to, the pit, like the bottomless pit. But you also were trying to figure out where you fit up here in Northern California, and you're kind of wandering around and finding a church and stuff. So was there a time when you felt like, okay, there was an understanding of why you came back? Like, okay. Or did it feel like, no, just day by day, I just went with the flow and figured my life out, and I experienced God along the way? Was there any moments that were like really clear, like why things were progressing the way they did or didn't?
I don't know. When I moved up here, I was kind of done with the whole relationship thing. I'm like, okay, I'm 20 something years old, late 20s, and said, okay, maybe marriage isn't for me, and that's fine. Whatever. I'll be fine without a spouse. And I had my dog. Dogs are great. My companion. So I chatted with several people and said, are there Christian churches around? Would you recommend one over another? What should I do? Where should I go? And apparently Marin has quite a few Christian churches. And so I went to several different churches up here. I went to Marin Covenant. I went to the one New Life here, but it was called something else at that time. Checked out a couple of other churches I don't remember the names of. And then I went into the Vineyard, and that was my aha moment. It was, I do remember going in there, and the first time I just sat down and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm home. This is it. This is where I need to be. I need to be in this church with this community. And I ended up in Novato, which was another place. I didn't want to go to Novato. I really wanted to stay Southern Marin or the city. But, God always has his own plans for you. And yes, dogs are amazing. I love them. Yes, they are our fur babies. Where was I before that got me off?
I'm talking about the Vineyard. And, I think it's interesting because Vineyard churches have like historically been churches that have a really vibrant music and worship ministry, and also a real practical approach to scripture, right? And how it applies to your life. So I can see that could be a really powerful kind of home for you, a homecoming, as you come back to Marin, to have that kind of like practical Bible teaching, community and fellowship, and then amazing music, right? That's an incredible combination of things.
Exactly. And whereas the other ones, like the bigger churches, I just felt swallowed up. And I was like, I need something a little more intimate. Although Vineyard, I know when, other areas are giant, but ours was small. It was small, like a congregation of 100, 120 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And it started out at the Carpenter's Hall down in San Rafael and ended up on B Street.
Mm.
And then when I moved up here, well, I had always lived up here, but they soon they soon closed their doors up. It must have been me. I'm just kidding, guys. No, I'm just kidding. Jeff,
you said
Jeff Nichols, who was the pastor there, he is taught at the Quest several times over the last several years, 10 years or so, back in the day, before the Tony and Matt.
Tony and Matt story, the Tony and Matt chapter. Let's talk about the church. Let's talk about that, because we are in October 2020 when we're having this conversation. This is our 7th month in online discussions and really kind of basically worshiping by having Zoom calls and Facebook and YouTube live videos and stuff. And we've gained a lot of people. In fact, Lauren, thank you, Lauren, who's saying she's loving this close-up series. She found us online. She lived in Nevada and had been, I think, a visitor. I might get this wrong, Lauren, but visited in youth group as a teenager. So now, pandemic, she's searching. She's watching other churches, online, but recognizing, there's like a church building in my neighborhood-ish. And they have something online, so let me connect. And she's been helping us now with social media. And she's the one who's like really helped push us get on YouTube Live, which is super cool. But let's just talk a little bit, because if you're watching live, please share comments or put questions out there, because we know that this is a really weird space. We're still like, this is our new normal. And in some ways, like, we're not going back to what the old was. Whatever we go back to will be different and new, and we'll have to be innovative and safe to move forward. But I'd love to just have a little bit of let's talk about the church. Like, Kathy, what questions do you have when you think about what it looks like for us to be the church? Do you have anything for us as pastors, as leaders, like questions that you're wondering about what the future might hold? Or what are you hoping? What are you hoping things look like?
I think probably like many people, I would wish and hope that maybe things would go back to the norm, but clearly that's not going to happen. I just don't know. I mean, I get that question all the time as far as, where do you think we're going to be? How sad it is to think that our kids can't group and go to big old concerts like we used to do, or go to the movie theaters like we used to do. And when is that going to come back? And will it ever come back? I certainly hope it does. I hope that we can get back into a church building. But I do enjoy sitting out on my patio and on Sunday mornings and checking in that way remotely. It's like we haven't, even though we're not seeing each other so much face to face, and we are seeing you guys, but I'm not seeing, Susie face to face. I still see, she's still in my heart, and Andrew and the rest of the gang, and Brian and Christine, but it feels like, I'm still connected. And I feel very fortunate that we are connected in that way. Do you guys think we will ever get back to the church? There you go. There's my question.
It's a good one.
I mean, the building.
Yeah, we are the church, but will we get back to the building? And I think the answer is yes, we will.
Do too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to believe that, right? I have to believe that we can move forward into a new kind of normal, a new future for us. And yes, I think that will involve the building. Absolutely.
Yes. And at the same time, we're trying to go, all right, how can we be one more effective and safe when we do, right? So I've been to a few church gatherings in COVID time. And, to be totally frank, I felt a little bit like my expectations were high. Maybe that was the problem. I have to lower them, because you show up and it's like, okay, don't touch anybody. You know, they put these circles, these chalk circles around, and you have to wear your mask because you can't sing because, you know, the particles. And so you're left going like, okay, somebody else is singing and I can't touch or look at it. It was a letdown for me. But we are trying to lean into those Quest meets, right? So, you know, we've got these, let's get together and have a meal. And in fact, we've got a whole new slew of them for October. You'll see all the dates that are up there. Yeah. So if you go to our website at questnovato.com, you can sign up, because we want to meet, you know, we want to find meetings. And the thing that we were thinking is we'll still do our Sundays online via video for some time, but for those who are in the Novato area, we have, you know, some Wednesdays and a Sunday lunch where just bring your food up to the property and sit around 6 feet apart, and we'll chat and we'll talk, and that we don't have to worry about bringing out sound and cameras, and nobody has to be like, oh, we're doing this live, so I have to put my makeup on or whatever. We're just hanging out, and it's lo-fi and low key, and we'll just do the more produced time, and we'll keep that to Sunday. So that's kind of where we are right now. I'm holding space and hope that we can, come Christmas, have something in person, you know, candlelight Christmas thing. We're hoping. We know we won't be back in the building by Thanksgiving for our Bola, which is an annual. I mean, I'm missing Patty's. Patty's. What are those things called? The yams, the marshmallow
candied yams. Yeah.
Yams. I literally got like mouth watering when I thought about that last time. So we are going to do our Thanksgiving Bola event via Zoom. So bring your bowl. That'll be the 19th of November. But we're holding out to go, okay, we're not making any decisions for Christmas yet. We're going to wait it out and kind of figure out what's going to happen.
Hope and pray.
Hope and pray.
Yeah. Wow.
Yasmin says, thank you for today. I'm new to the Quest, and it's odd to not meet others in person. So I appreciate these forums. Thank you for sharing your story and path. So great to have the Sadlers, her and her husband, Jerome, and Lauren also saying virtual connection has been a lifesaver during these times.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. So just back to the story of Kathy Hart just for a little bit. You said that you met your husband at the Vineyard Church. So like, you want to talk about that a little bit and how your family was begun?
Okay, sure. He, Bob, he was the brother-in-law of the worship team leader at the time. And I actually was teaching, I was doing middle school. I was leading the middle schoolers, and his nieces were in my class, and they kept trying to fix me up with Uncle Bob. And I was pretty sure that Uncle Bob was, I figured everybody in Marin's married, by the way.
Right.
You're not going to find a single person in Marin at your age. Not that I was that old, but, you know, I was old enough to. Yeah. They're in the city. You got to go to the city. So
let's talk more about that single. Put that on pin. I want to talk more about singleness too in the church, but keep going.
Okay. So it was the kids. They pushed Uncle Bob to ask me out. So he asked me out and actually stood me up on our first date.
Oh, no.
Because he wasn't convinced that, he was like, I didn't really think you meant yes. I'm like, well, of course I meant yes. I mean, why would I not mean yes? I was ready to go out. And so he did, we went out the following week, and he took me to sushi because that was my favorite thing, was sushi. And he had never gone to sushi before, and he has never been to sushi since. Not a sushi guy. Since that, he said, that won't happen again, Kathy. So you're going to have to find other people to do that with. And we just kind of hit it off. It was like, again, I believe that was a God thing too. Meeting Bob was a God thing because we totally connected. Our families completely connected. And he proposed to me probably 4 months into it, and probably thought, you know, that's crazy. We got married 6 months later, and Brandon came along and Elizabeth came along, and now it's been 20 years.
Incredible.
And he's a great man. My kids are awesome. We live in the same house that when I grew up, I probably lived in 11 different homes between, when I was in grade school and middle school. My dad and mom, they moved all the time. And my kids have lived here. This is their home. It's just so funny to think that this is the only home that they've ever had. And I think, wow, it's so small, but I'm like so grateful that God got me into this home. I guess there were several, this goes back to the question you said earlier, were there any specific events that, where you really believe God was in? And I think that's, I'm paraphrasing, I'm sure. But when I bought this house, we were renting at the time. And I said to the owner, when he came to collect the rent, because he lived far away and so we would come in and collect the rent. I said, would you consider selling this to us? And he's like, well, sure, make an offer. It was like that quick. And we didn't have, at that time, we didn't have the down payment. So he said, I'll cover the down, we'll do a second. And he just made it work. Wow. Totally made it work. It was effortless getting this home.
Wow.
Yeah. And keeping it. Well, that's not so effortless.
Yeah.
A lot of work. Right?
But yeah, I mean,
that's
I think
really cool.
Like home ownership in Marin equals miracle, right? In some ways. So yeah, that's beautiful.
In California, in my estimation.
Yeah, same. Yeah. And I love that you have this 20-year marriage, that God, maybe it seemed fast, but it has lasted, and God has been very obvious and clear in this relationship. That's awesome.
Yes. And then not to say that it hasn't been, bumps and ups and downs, a roller coaster. As I tell my family, it's messy. There was a movie called Parenthood with Steve Martin and what's her name? How do I say?
Mary Steenburgen, maybe?
Yes. So one of the lines was the roller coaster line, and how it's up and down and messy, and that's family. That's what we are, and we are very much that way.
That's awesome.
Good stuff going on, though.
So we'd like to talk about that. We have about 10 more minutes left, I guess 5 actually. What's one story you would share about how you have found, faith and strength during a hard time? Every time we gather, it's been really cool that people have shared, just kind of transparently, this part of my life is hard and it's been dark, but I saw hope and light in this way. How would you describe, what's one thing that comes to mind for you? Something that you saw light in the midst of darkness.
That light would be the quest, actually. And over this last 20 years, there were times when it was, like I said, it was really, we were just headbutting, and my quest brothers and sisters and leaders would pray over me. And I would, anybody who really knows me knows that I have my heart on my shoulder and that I probably could cry at the drop of a hat. And I would probably slink away when that would happen. But at the quest, I was able to just sit there and just be loved. So my light was being with the quest. And they embraced my family. Even, my husband's not super social. So, which is okay because I'm super social. So we balance each other. So he doesn't often go to church, but he'll sit out there in the backyard with me. He does like that. So this is really good for people like him. This time,
right?
And
exactly. I love that you bring that up, because there is a personality thing that sometimes certain expressions of the church don't necessarily meet. Even people have told us, one of the reasons why we went and pushed YouTube is some people didn't like to come on our Facebook feed because you have to talk and chat and hi everybody. Then they see you, they want to be more anonymous. And I go, I get that. I think that is okay.
For sure.
That's my husband.
Yeah, right on. I wanted to talk really quick, I guess, about singleness in the church.
We keep going back, Kathy. This is a good conversation.
Because that is a big thing. And so many people told you, you'll never find a spouse in Novato.
Yeah, they did.
There's all these things. There's all these things people put on you when you're single. So we're all we're all in this space of being in the church and people of faith people are watching who are in different phases of their relationship status, right? So 2 of us are married. One is in a dating relationship. How do we want to talk? Let's end with this. What do we want to say to people who, in whatever phase they are in, when they feel like they're not enough, when they feel like I'm single and I need a relationship, I'm a widow and I blah, blah, blah. I'm married and I don't have kids, or I'm married and I have young kids. Like, let's just blow out some truth here as we end. What do you want to say about relationships and faith? Kathy, you can start. You've got kids who are in this space too, right?
I've got my kids. It's hard. It's all hard. And without God, it would just be terribly hard. Without our community of like-minded people, or people who are on that faith journey. There's a song, a Vineyard song, and one of the things that actually was one of the song that led me quite a bit, whether through singleness and the rest of it, was now is the time to worship. And the line in it that says, one day every tongue will confess you are God, one day every knee will bow, but still the greatest treasure belongs to us who gladly choose you now. That relationship held me through the singleness in the church, even just like living with roommates who had significant others in their lives. If I hadn't held on to God, if I had my hand, I felt like a little kid at times, and I felt very comforted.
I love that.
And it's hard. Relationships are hard, and the grass is always greener where you water it.
That's right. That's right.
I had a pastor who said that to me one time. He goes, Kathy, the grass is always greener where you water it. It's not on the other side. It's where you water it. So, do your work.
Water the dang grass. Okay, Matt, what do you want to say? What do you want to say?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I could preach a sermon about this. I just feel like singleness is not valued in many Christian churches, and there's always kind of this pressure and you've got to be dating somebody, you've got to be moving toward a relationship, whatever. But I, in the last 4 years since my own divorce and like living this kind of single life, I've had to, through a lot of pain, frankly, a lot of really challenging times, begin to really deeply believe that I'm enough on my own, that me and God are okay, that I don't need somebody to complete me, right? There's this myth, I think, that we're like a half person. Single people are like half people, waiting for that other half to come along so that we can finally be whole. And I guess I'll just say that, I certainly don't have anything figured out, but in my own life, I had to get to the point of like going, you know what, I'm okay by myself, and I could be okay by myself for the rest of my life because with God and me, that's enough. Like, I'm a complete, whole human being. And in order to be in a healthy relationship, I think it's important for both parties to be healthy, whole, complete people who then can choose to be in a relationship together and mutually benefit one another. But it really starts from like not being grasping and needy and wanting someone to complete you, right? It kind of starts from saying, you know what, I'm enough, and I'm going to be a healthy, whole human being. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to, like you're saying, water the grass where I am right here. I'm going to pour into being the kind of human being that I want to be, and that I feel like God is equipping me to be. And then maybe you're ready for a relationship, or maybe not. Maybe you'll actually just be a healthy, whole, single person, which is a beautiful thing that actually happens. Right. Healthy, whole, single human beings is another beautiful way of living in this world. And I think it's really important to like acknowledge and celebrate healthy, whole, single people.
Yep.
I want to end with, there's this phrase, the time heals all wounds. And I just saw this really cool woman. I follow her on Instagram. Holistically Grace is her name. And she crossed out the time heals all wounds. And she said, time can also harden, numb, and distance and separate. Time is what we intentionally need to work on things that will heal wounds. Like the time we give to unlearning harmful family truths, releasing and mending relationships, ending cycles of self-betrayal, time to deconstruct these concepts that cage us and find meaningful connection, and honoring the feelings and messages that we feel within ourselves. I just loved that. And I felt like, oh, that really relates to relationships. And I feel for my own kids who they catch these little things that we see in videos, or, we love America's Funniest Videos, AFV, whatever that thing is, like the reality show. And, we were just watching how people get really excited about like kids coming into the world when someone does like a pregnancy or gender reveal, and how crazy those have gotten out of hand, right? And how much pressure is put on people. And my kids were just kind of commenting about that. And I was like, well, people are excited to be grandparents. People are excited to welcome kids in the world. And I just wondered, as I said that, like, am I planting a little seed of pressure in my kids? Like, that they have to, So all that to say, like, give ourselves time. Give yourself time to be who you want to be, who you need to be. That's why these stories, these up close and personal stories, are so important. Everybody has a different journey. Everybody has a different way to connect with God, a different way to find their purpose. Our purpose as a church is to explore God together, and there's something to be said about together asking questions and sharing our faith and saying, well, that didn't work for me. What works for you? So I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So Kathy, thank you so much. We've got people saying thank you for sharing your story. It was wonderful getting to know you. Susie says, love your vulnerability and your tears. Lauren also says, amen, Matt. So powerful to what you were sharing.
Yep.
Lori, love that, Kathy. The grass is greener where you water it. And Joseph says, I love this conversation. As a single 38-year-old male with no kids, it's giving me the opportunity to take care of my immediate family that's needed me.
Yeah.
That's really powerful, Joseph. Thank you so much for sharing that. Well, cool. Well, if you are in the Bay Area, Northern California, Marin County, and you would like to go to our website and sign up for one of our Quest meets, we're calling them, do that at questnovado.com. We have something on Wednesday, October 14th at 5:30 p.m., Sunday, October 18th at 11:30 a.m., Wednesday, October 21st at 5:30 p.m., and Tuesday, October 27th at 5:30 p.m. Check those out and know that we love you. Whether you're watching virtually and never stepped foot in California or Marin County, or whether you are a longtime quester like Kathy, we're certainly glad that we can do this life together. So thank you all so much for being a part. Thank you, Kathy. Any final words from you all before we take off?
Enjoy. Be blessed.
Thank you, Kathy. It's been great. Yeah.
Right on. Amen. And we'll end one more time. Actually, never mind. I was going to pull up our little bumper, but I didn't have it local. All right. See ya on Sunday.